This is Jpar, and you are listening to The New Review. Today on the show, we have Clayton, we have Myles, and we have Da Boo. And tonight, we are reviewing the R-rated hit, Deadpool 2. Say hello to the crowd, everybody.
Hi, guys.
Hi guys.
Hi, guys.
That was Clayton.
Yeah, let's say our names first before we say weird stuff.
It's Clayton.
Sweet Jesus.
Why do you have to breathe behind my neck?
Because it goes with the Deadpool movie.
The movie wasn't creepy, though.
Oh, well, there was some parts that were kind of creepy.
Yeah, you know what? There was a lot of creepy moments.
There was a lot of weird sex jokes.
Yeah,
Well,
weird.
it's-
And sex.
It's Deadpool.
sex.
I think the only person who didn't say hello was Da Boo.
Yeah, I was letting you guys finish. Da Boo's here though.
Hi, Boo.
That's so wrong.
Channel more of your...
Yeah.
Channel more of your creepiness.
Less driving a van without windows.
More driving a van with windows.
Exactly.
Because
No.
it looks like you have a family then.
Yeah.
Because you're driving a caravan instead of...
I'm much
Filled
more
with ice cream and
intimidated.
candy.
I'm much more intimidated by a van without windows that's parked than a
Yeah.
van with windows that's moving.
In
All
a
right,
parking lot.
so fuck yes, this is our R-rated review of Deadpool. Oh wait, we swear in every one of
It's
these reviews
fucking
anyways.
R-rated.
Holy shit, fuck.
But we're gonna say fuck even more just because it's Deadpool. Alright, so how it works around here is that the first 10 minutes we're just gonna talk about the movie. We're gonna give it a rating out of 5. We're not gonna flip into spoilers just yet because we're gonna save that for Spoiler Town, folks. And that's the point where you decide if you want to keep listening, go see the movie, or come back and listen to us. Either way, you should be coming back to listen to us when you're done seeing the movie, because you want to know if your thoughts match up with ours, because you care about our thoughts that much. So, we are here, and we're going to review Deadpool 2. Fuck yeah. Alright, so we're going to start with Clayton this time for first impressions, because I know he was a Deadpool fan back in the day. You've read some Deadpool comics while we were in high school.
Yeah, and even going back to the first movie, I really appreciated how they managed to maintain Deadpool's character from the comics and put it through the roof and make it R-rated, because the comics aren't really R-rated. But
No, but
for
I
this-
mean, but that's because you can do a lot more in comics.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you
It's
can
an
do a lot more graphic stuff without you actually seeing the decapitations or the arms being cut off.
They do a really good job of extending the character that they laid out in the comic books, though. And the first movie was obviously awesome. I mean, we all loved it. And going into this one, I mean, obviously the hype was real. This. I knew exactly what to. I knew exactly what to expect going into this fucking movie. I'm glad that it was I'm glad that it was long. I'm glad that they just squeezed in everything they possibly could.
Yeah.
And it was even the trailers, like the Celine Dion
Oh
trailer.
my god.
You're at
David
11,
Beckham, and he was on
yeah.
Stephen Colbert. There was so much good stuff building up to it.
Yeah, the marketing itself was just as entertaining as the movie. So I was super stoked. I was ready to watch this movie for sure. That's my first impressions.
Alright, Myles.
I am 100% with Clayton. The marketing campaign of the first one was good. This one, I seen Ryan Reynolds in the most obscure places. He was on a Korean sing
Yeah,
show.
I saw that too.
Dressed up as a unicorn, and people had to rate them based on their singing, not their looks, so they had to wear a mask. So he's dressed up as a unicorn. It was actually pretty funny. Anyways, going into the movie, yeah, I wanted Deadpool and I wanted more of it, and I figured, okay, if the first one was super good, they're going to up the budget, they're going to take more pop shots at these different franchises or themselves.
Yeah.
And, so I had pretty high expectations going to the movie, 100%.
I will mirror that comment. I think anyone here in the room will admit we all had high expectations, and no ifs, ands, or buts. I mean, there can be some worries, but I think what I was most excited about to see what would happen when, after the first movie having been so successful, the second one going in, we knew the budget would get maybe not a lot higher, but high enough that we got some reasonable CGI effects, more so than ever than the first. And we got to see a little bit more of the X-Men. That's all I'm saying. I will get into that later.
Well, Colossus was definitely here, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And of course Negasonic returns, so that's not a spoiler. So for me, yes, I was also excited for this, and I think I was excited for this movie on a different level than I was for Infinity War. Infinity War was like the culmination of this long story, and I just wanted to see all the team-ups. This, I was excited because just the first one is so funny, and it doesn't take itself as seriously as any of the Avengers movies. And that's great for the Avengers movies, that they do have that serious moments in them, and it's actually a serious story, but I mean, anything could happen in these Deadpool movies, and it wouldn't really matter. It's not really that subsequential, because he's constantly breaking the fourth wall, just like he did in the first movie, constantly taking pot shots at other heroes like the Avengers, DC, X-Men, so that's also great. So we get more of that, and for me, I didn't want to put my hopes too high, because I enjoyed the first one so much, and it's just so easy to fuck up a sequel, so I just didn't want to get my hopes up too high, but I'm glad I didn't keep them too high, because yeah, I think it paid off for me because I actually enjoyed the movie. But let's get into the ratings. We'll get into the 5-star rating without too many spoilers just yet. Clayton, lead us off.
I'm going to give this a 3.5, which is still a 7 out of 10. It's not as bad as it sounds.
No,
there was a lot of things that I really
good.
appreciated about it. Without going into spoilers, I will say that the runtime was a little bit long considering what was in the movie, but the action was there, the humor was there. The in-jokes are there, and there's one thing I like about, there's a general rule about comedy is that you always punch up, you never punch down. So you don't pick on the poor, you don't pick on, you know what I mean? You always make fun of your betters, you always punch up. Deadpool just punches fucking everywhere. He makes fun of absolutely everything he possibly can all the way through the movie, and since he can't die, he never really takes anything that seriously, and until he does. So the movie was awesome. I loved it.
All right. So what's you said 3.5. Okay, Myles.
I will echo your mark. I also gave it a 3.5. The movie was hilarious as fuck the whole way through. Actually, I can't say really start to finish. It started off pretty moody, and then all of a sudden the movie picks up. It's like, holy shit, this is fucking hilarious as fuck. And I'm so happy that I kept up with all the X-Men movies because they pop shots at all the X-Men franchise, or just general what's happening in life now, shit that's in the news or whatever.
Current events.
Current events, these all over the place. Like you said, he punches every direction. There was nobody that was safe. No race, creed, sex, doesn't matter. If it exists, Deadpool, if he gets his locks on you, you're gonna get shot with some pretty funny quips. So yeah, it was a fun ride, start to finish.
Yeah.
Da Boo.
I aimed a little higher. I don't know. Again, there's a lot of good that you can take out of this movie easily, but I always had to go back to compare to the first movie, and I think that was, for me, that was the stepping stone to know how to go into this, because Jpar said it perfectly. Deadpool doesn't take his universe seriously. You can't do the same going into this. If you do in any way, shape, or form, it's gonna work against you. But I love the fact that there was a lot of the humor and then some. I expected the humor to be there, which it was. I expected the same level of budget to be there, which it was. And then I needed those surprises, which they were there. It was just enough to say that I got that little extra oomph that I was hoping for. Otherwise, this movie would have done worse than the first. The first one had already set the bar pretty high. And that's simply because of the writing of the humor. The humor with Wade Wilson, the way he, again, breaking the fourth wall was always his biggest feat. But it could have also worked against the way we're so picky at how we seen the X-Men universe go in so many different fucking directions that we don't know how to take them. And here comes Deadpool and simply just bashes it for what it is.
Right.
A complete fucking mess. And I love that. It's exactly what this kind of movie needs, and they need to keep that going, because if they want to stand out from the other MCU, the seriousness and sometimes the not so serious moments, Guardians of the Galaxy did it in their own right, where they were more lighthearted than they were serious, but then when they came back to the Infinity War movie, it was much more serious. Deadpool just is not serious in any way, shape, or form. It has little serious moments, but it steps away from that almost immediately, and I think that's what I loved about this. Everything was taken lightheartedly, and I needed that in this.
Except for one thing.
Yeah, I know. I can't say that one thing because of specifics.
Right, because of spoilers.
But again, it was everything I wanted and then some was all present. So that's why for me it got a nice strong 4 out of 5.
And you guys are going to say I'm insane, and I might be overvaluing this movie, or I might be just riding a superhero comic high because I enjoyed Infinity War and I really enjoyed this movie. And I know I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say it. You're gonna be like, "What? That's too much." I'm gonna say 4.5. And the reason I'm saying 4.5, and like I said, I realize I'm probably totally overvaluing this movie, and I'm sure next time I see it, I might change my mind. I might make it a 4. But the reason I really like this movie, and it's for one of the reasons that we don't have to take it so seriously. So I don't have to worry about, oh, did they do that in the comics? Oh, did they do that right? Oh, did they do this? Oh, well, that doesn't make any sense. I don't really care. It's just fun. And that's what the point of this movie is. It's all action, and it's just a fun ride from beginning to end. And I can sit there and I can nitpick all these little things, but in the end, it's not going to matter because it's freaking Deadpool. How can you take him seriously? I can't. He's not cemented into this story enough to, like, stakes don't really matter to him except for this one thing, which I'm really glad they actually did because it actually brings an evolution to the character. He actually evolves and he starts caring about something where seemingly he didn't really care that much about anything at all, but there actually is something he cares about. And because the character is changing and evolving, that also makes this movie better. And like you said, I gotta base it off the first movie. If I would have given the first movie a 4, I almost think this one's better than the first one. And it's because there is a cohesive story in this one compared to the first one. And once again, the character Wade is evolving. So I'm going to say 4.5 for a first-time viewing in a theater as a fun romp. It might change on repeated viewings. If you're not a comic book fan, 100% you're not going to give this a 4.5. The reason I give it a 4.5, because you hit the ground running and it doesn't carry you the whole way. It doesn't hold your hand the whole way. It knows who you are. If you're a comic book fan, it speaks to its audience perfectly. It rips on DC, Marvel, X-Men, everything. Like these guys said, punches are thrown everywhere. Canada, doesn't matter what color, creed, country you're from, Deadpool's going to make fun of it. And it's just... So that's what it is. That's why I've come to this. It doesn't hold your hand. It's a comic book movie. You can hit the ground running, and for me, it's great because they were not going to stop and explain this, explain that. I don't give a shit. Just give me a good comic book movie, and that's what this did. And I want to see more movies where we kind of hit the ground running. Like, why do we got to stop to explain everything? Come on. Yeah, I know. That's why I said you guys are going to love my review.
They have very few comic book characters that are like that, though, where they constantly break the fourth wall and they're always making fun of it.
Oh, you're totally right, but Deadpool, it works to its benefit.
Yeah.
He is the most obscure anti-hero ever, period. Like, he's going to be in a category of his own.
Well, Lobo. And I think that's why DC
Lobo's
is
probably the
releasing
closest
Lobo.
thing, yeah.
I think that's why DC is readying Lobo to be released. I don't know who they're going to get to play him, but...
Josh Brolin.
That'd
Josh
be perfect.
Brolin is everybody.
All right, let's get into spoiler towns. I know you guys want to get into this.
Yeah.
Clayton, take it away. Best and worst.
Best and worst.
We're in spoilers, people, so
Okay.
if you haven't seen the movie, go see the movie, come back and listen.
Okay, I'm going to start with my worst on this one, because as a guy who actually read the comic books, the relationship between Cable and Deadpool is like miles deep. They have a really interesting relationship in the comic books, because, dun dun dun, Nessa doesn't die in the comics. Mm-hmm. Nessa actually ends up leaving Deadpool and dating Cable. She ends up in a relationship with him, which takes the relationship between those two characters to hitherto unforeseen heights. It's fucking... It's interesting. They hate each other. They like each other. You know what I mean? And the whole time, Nessa's there in the background, kind of just holding... She's the glue that keeps Cable and Deadpool together.
She doesn't seem to be a mutant in this series.
And she's not a mutant, yeah.
Copycat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that... I feel like they unnecessarily killed her off to spur him into saving the kid when they kind of could have come around with maybe a different idea. They wanted to make the character more serious, and the only way they could do it was to kill off the only thing that he actually cared about. But in the comic books, he loses her anyways, and he keeps on being Deadpool. You know what I mean? Like, he still ends up without her, but he still carries on as himself.
Of course, all the hot babes.
So they didn't,
X-Men universe.
Yeah, they didn't really need to kill her off. I mean, they took what could have been an even more interesting character for the third one and a really interesting relationship between Cable and Deadpool.
But is she dead?
She's dead.
She's not dead.
No, she's not dead.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
she
that's
not
right.
stay
Yeah,
for the credits?
he brought her back.
changed
with
time.
the chrono time. Oh, maybe then.
Hold on.
Well, maybe they will then.
Oh, this is going to be a debate.
On. You have to understand, though, that a lot of people going in and out of this movie were always talking about that right from the get-go, because the second he was given that watch to rewind time or go back in time and rewrite history, which brought up a lot of fun moments. You know, the fact that, killing off himself, Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, you took my thunder
when
away.
he did
that took it to a whole new level. I'm like, okay,
Killed off the
Congrats.
old Deadpool.
The old Deadpool.
I was the only person in my theater jumping out of my seat going, yes! Yes! I'm like looking at
killed
these people.
himself
My
when he
theater,
was
everybody
looking
was
at
yelling.
the fucking when he was looking at the Green
My
Lantern
theater-
script. He
Oh,
killed
yeah,
himself
yeah,
off.
yeah.
That was fucking.
You're welcome,
awesome.
Canada.
The biggest
Yeah.
question was left with us about, did any of that really matter? Because when you do that, and
Yeah.
you're already dealing with a Deadpool, with a movie where the character being, the way he does, where he breaks the fourth wall, he's already breaking so many rules. Timelines are completely convoluted.
Yeah, hello,
Yeah.
welcome to the X-Men universe.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
everything's
You
gone
know the next movie is going to be Cable having to fix all the bullshit
Probably.
that's done, right?
Yeah,
That's
that's what
why
it's going to be.
Yeah.
Whether his girlfriend is back to life or not in the next movie, I don't think I'd really care. She had her
I
play in
care.
this movie.
She's hot.
Yeah, but that's for different
Maria
reasons.
Baccarin?
I just love the fact that she had a role to play to evolve Deadpool into this much more serious character.
Well, I guess
and if she
my-
doesn't come back, whatever. But Deadpool's already made that evolution.
I forgot
Yeah,
to say
my
the people
wor-
who
my
are in this
point-
movie.
My worst point is kind of moot then because she does. I guess she
Ryan
does come
Reynolds
back
is in the
at
movie.
So is Josh Brolin.
Yeah, I get my
That's it.
my worst point is kind of moot
that's not
then
it.
because
I can't believe that's it.
It's also Marina Baccarin
Baccarin.
and Zazie Beetz. And
Zazie Beetz. Oh my
I
god,
can't say
Domino
that
was
one.
hot.
Since we're in spoiler town, Brad Pitt was in this movie. He was the Vanisher.
Oh.
If anyone caught that.
Did you?
Yeah.
I caught it in the credits when
I
was
caught it in the
looking at
credits too.
end.
I didn't notice it was him right away, and then I
They
saw
showed
it.
his face
Yeah.
when he did it.
Just
They
for a
did,
split
but I
second.
did, but just a second.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you guys did notice it was him.
Well, I
For that
noticed in the
second.
credits after, and I thought it was a funny joke. I'm like, Brad Pitt's the Vanisher.
I know,
That's
was,
great. I'm like, wait a minute. It was Brad Pitt.
Yeah, I was laughing about it because I was like, "Fuck!" It's like such a small, like 1 second long role.
Yeah,
To have him
yeah.
go
It makes
in
me
there.
wonder if he was even present for any kind of shooting. Did they just take his photo and then
Oh, yeah.
superimpose
Yeah.
it?
Okay, so-
by the way, we used your photo. We're going to pay you for it.
Isn't that
Okay, so
Isn't
that
that okay? Wait. Isn't it kind of funny because Ryan Reynolds likes to do that in Seth MacFarlane movies, where he just shows up for a second and then disappears.
I guess.
What are you confused? You're the fucking fan of Seth, Seth MacFarlane.
I'm
you
trying
fucking
to tell
guy.
you about the parts that I hated and the
Yeah,
part that I
we're
loved. Like,
way
it's
off,
way
whatever.
off the rails.
I thought I talked to the guy who's a Family Guy fan. He never
I
fucking
am a
stops
Family
talking
Guy
about
fan,
it.
but he
I
was
mentioned
an
Seth
episode.
MacFarlane. He doesn't know what the hell I'm talking about.
We're in best and worst right now.
We're in
Clayton.
best and worst. Let's like
Clayton,
pull it back.
Please. The reins have been pulled
So,
back.
anyways, bringing it back,
Yeah.
my worst is kind of moot because yeah, you're right. Nessa does come back to life when he kills the guy with the fucking butter spreader.
Yeah.
So I can't really. Other than that, I guess I would say that the emotional content, like where the movie slows to an absolute fucking crawl every time he talks to her. You know what I mean? Like it's action, funny, and then it's like weirdly serious in parts, which kind of seems, I don't know, that the whole love story thing. I didn't really like how they dealt with it, regardless of whether she comes back or not. My favorite part has got to be, it's all of the jokes that you see in the background. It's all of the stuff that you're not really
Paying attention.
paying attention to until after you've seen it, and then you're like, oh my god, did that really happen? Like there's a part where he's like hugging Colossus and he's got his hand on his ass.
Yeah.
But then later on in the movie, there's a part where he gets Colossus to go after Juggernaut. Spoiler: Juggernaut's in the movie.
Yeah.
He gives him the tap on the ass, and you hear the metal ding when he hits it. Like stuff like that just made me fucking laugh my ass off. Like that is for me. That's like
How awesome was it that Juggernaut was in this movie?
It is awesome.
And he's the proper Juggernaut. He's not the shitty Juggernaut from X-Men 3.
I know,
And he even mentioned being related to Xavier.
I know. There was a lot of like really cool stuff having to do with him, and just like there was a lot of cool stuff in the fucking movie. And the laughs, the jokes kept on coming, like from the beginning right through to the end. I stuck around, watched all the credits, like watched all the like.
Yeah, I wait to the end, all the way to the end where they tell you not to steal this movie.
Yeah.
And then even like the credits at the beginning, it was like produced by who the fuck is this? You know, like
Why the fuck did they kill
directed
her?
by the same guy who killed John Wick's dog. Shit like that was
one
just
of the two guys who killed John.
It was just awesome. Yeah, there was a lot of like really awesome stuff to take away from it, and I feel like the movie is going to get. It's going to be just
It's
as
better.
good with a second viewing.
I think
because
so.
I'm going to be picking even more out of it. There was even some of the jokes that he pulled out, like he kind of slides them halfway out of the side of his mouth, and you're almost not even sure if you heard them, but they're there.
If you don't keep up, like keep listening to what they're saying, you're gonna miss a lot of jokes.
Yeah, I fucking love that gun. Oh my god, X-Force, the whole X-Force
Oh
with
my
Peter. Why are you here? I saw the ad, it looked fun. And then at the end he goes back, he's like, Sugar Bear, go home, just don't even worry about it. Like,
So your favorite was all the jokes, all the quips, and your least favorite was the relationship.
it was just it was the pacing for that, because the love scenes, they kept going back to them. When they did, the movie slowed to a crawl, they were unnecessarily long, and that movie clocked in at 2 hours.
Yep.
They could have easily cut 20 minutes out of that by just getting rid of it. Like, we know she died at the beginning of the movie. It was a big deal, right? And
But that's his driving force for saving the kid. So that's what
I know, but I get the feeling that they could have kind of had him realize, like, the lessons that she was trying to teach him in a different way.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like,
I think that was a spoof of something too, the way they set that up. But anyways, I know they had the "Take on Me" song at the end, which was
That
kind
was
of
fucking
like
awesome.
went with that. So yeah, Myles, best and worst.
So yeah, I'll do like you. Worst. God, it was a pretty fucking funny movie. But yeah, I guess the pacing was a little off, and they went for a darker Logan tone for this. Like, because Deadpool came out first, right? And then Logan?
His first line is,
Yeah.
"Fuck Wolverine."
Yeah.
First he steals my idea for an R-rated movie, and then he tops it off by dying in his movie. How am I supposed to do that?
how do you beat that?
He even had the Logan
Well, I'm
dying
gonna
on
die
the
this
tree
time.
Yeah,
toy.
the fucking
little-
music box.
Yeah.
Right away.
That was fun. But yeah, the pacing was a little off. Other than that, really, I'm gonna have to disagree with you, Jpar. You said the movie takes off running right off the bat. I don't think so.
It did,
Because of
yeah.
the love story and the death of his girlfriend, it kind of slowed it down repeatedly. He wanted to die. He purposely put himself in prison because he knew the collar would shut off his healing power. Now he's letting cancer take its course. And like, holy fuck, this is fucking dark and grim and crazy.
He's like, oh, you're dark. Are you from the DC universe?
You probably like dubstep.
And then
Repeated dubstep
once Cable
jokes.
shows up to the prison and knocks off the collar off Deadpool, to me, that's when the movie takes off running and it doesn't stop. He's like, superpowers activate!
Yeah.
And he jumps after Cable, falls down, his body breaks in like the grossest weird way, like conforms around a table.
Yeah,
Like, I think
There was some pretty horrid, like, pseudo death.
I
really
love that.
bad deaths. Like the one
awesome.
where he hits his head on a rock and he comes out of the lake. There's like a chunk of his head gone. I'm like, oh my god. Juggernaut cuts him in half and
Pulls him apart, yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna rip
I'm
you
gonna rip
apart
you
now,
apart
okay?
now. I'm gonna
And then he just does it. Like, holy
Oh my
fuck.
god, baby legs?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He's
Baby Leg.
straight shirt cocking it.
Josh Brolin at one point he's like, well, thanks to you, Deadpool, I now know what a grown man looks like with baby balls. It's like, oh my god.
Baby
And he's
Leg
like,
was great.
slowly, he's taking his first walk. He's like doing it. He's actually doing it. Oh my god. And there was
Totally
so-
reminded me of like Rick and Morty, baby legs and
Yeah.
regular legs.
There were so many, like you said, you have to watch the movie again because the theater was laughing so much that I missed lines,
Yeah.
I missed jokes, I missed scenes. But for me, I think the funniest, and this is gonna be weird, but Juggernaut is fighting Colossus, and as they're walking towards each other, he's like, "You know what I'm gonna do to you, Colossus? I'm gonna melt you down and turn you into a cock ring."
ring, yeah.
He does it, and then I look over at Candace, and she's like, "Did he just say cock ring? He just said cock ring." And then we both start laughing our asses off. The fight with Juggernaut and Colossus was awesome. I loved
Awesome!
it. And then,
Even if you're not a Deadpool fan and you're just a comic fan, you have
Oh,
to see
yeah.
this movie just to see a live action Juggernaut fight Colossus.
and the kids come in there like Negasonic and her girlfriend, and they added some stuff, and he takes the fucking live wire and he shoves it up his ass and Negasonic tosses him in the water, and he's fucking being electrified for like half an hour straight. Because when they finally pan out, he's still electrified.
He's trying to pull himself
Yeah,
out
he's
of
trying
the
to pull him
fire.
out. I'm like, oh my god. The scene kept going. So yeah. What? Oh, there's so much to
So
like.
you lost
There
yourself.
is.
I lost myself.
Where's the favorite and least favorite?
Oh, well, no, the least favorite is the pacing.
Okay.
It needed to happen. I liked the love story. I liked that the way they dealt with death. I really enjoyed that because, like you said, Deadpool's immortal. So what affects him is the people he cares about.
Exactly.
And him going back and forth, like floating around death, like he's almost dead.
Yeah.
But he's just on death's door. He can't quite make it. That wall, I like that.
Well, that's kind of what I got out of it when I got those scenes with, he's almost dead. He runs into his dead girlfriend in the ethereal world, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
I always get this idea that it's him in his own mind about to disappear.
That's the way I see it.
Apparently
It's just in his own head.
It's
Yeah.
Apparently in
him,
the
it's
comics,
not
that's
her.
exactly that. Actually, if I can take one comment that I read recently, because now we have Infinity War and Deadpool 2 out at the same time, apparently when Deadpool would go up against Thanos, I think he introduced someone to... No, sorry, it was another character. But anyway, one of his superpowers apparently was to be invincible to psychic powers. His brain is always regenerating so quickly, like the rest of his body, that if you were to psychically try to attack him, he would not be affected by it. So what does he do to one of the villains? He invites them in to see what's inside, and all of a sudden it's just total chaos. Well, that kind of reminded me of what happened there, where he's trying to get to his girlfriend, but there's this barrier. Well, he's creating the barrier. Well, what's causing it? Well, there's something in his mind that's holding him back a little bit, and I think that's what I really enjoyed with that.
I think it would have been funny if one of the times he went in there, he ended up in Wakanda talking to the elders.
Missed opportunity.
Hey, this wrong place. I didn't mean to be here.
That would have been
Well,
awesome.
he did call his taxi
But-
driver Brown Panther.
He did. Yes, he did.
Brown.
And he called Domino Black Widow.
Yeah.
See, if they would have done what you said, though, it would have ruined it for me because like Thor Ragnarok was funny start to finish, but when the scenes needed to be serious
yeah.
and to the
Yeah.
point, I found the comedy took you out of the movie.
Yeah.
Hey, look, Asgard, as long as the foundations, and then it blows up like, oh.
Yeah.
I totally agree
God.
with both you guys. I mean, almost everything is a joke in this movie, and I'm glad they at least took that one thing serious, which
Same
was
here.
his
They
love
dealt
life.
with death very seriously, and I really like that.
They dealt with cocaine very well, too. When he puts the bag under his mask and then swoops his face. Let's do this!
Yeah, you're right. I am going to do something terrible.
What's even funnier is when you look at it, his mask is like off a little bit. But he's like, "Oh, let's go do
Did
this."
you guys notice in the first movie he says to Al, he says, "Yeah, there's tons of cocaine hidden in this house. It's hidden with the cure for blindness." And
Yeah.
then you see when he goes in to get the
The cure
cocaine,
for
there's a book
blindness.
that says "Cure for Blindness."
Yeah.
Right
That
next
was
to the
good.
Cure for Blindness. Yeah.
Anyways, that's my best, and we're pretty much the same as you, pacing, and there's so much quippy.
And you said your favorite was the relationship or the death.
I liked the way they dealt with death, the love story, and redemption. I thought it
Okay.
was really
Oh, how they use the subject of death to
Yes.
continue that. Okay.
Da Boo.
Okay. I'm still having a hard time figuring out my worst out of this. Okay, two things I think that I was kind of hoping to see more of. I didn't get enough cable. I guess. Let me rephrase. I think
lay the cable, boo.
I only
Yeah.
got about 20 minutes of
I
cable.
couldn't afford to go see it in theaters, so I had to watch it on my boob tube. And I didn't get enough of it. No, it was the fact that a character is as strong and as iconic, I think would maybe the right word here. I think you said it right there earlier, Clay, where there was an established relationship in the comics for so long now that Cable and Deadpool have a very dynamic relationship
Yeah.
on so many levels that obviously one movie in them together is not going to be enough to paint that picture, but he was in so few scenes, and the ones that he was in the scenes for gave you the impression like he was very much an enemy. When really he's not. He's doing things because he's got his own agenda to abide by. And when you're time traveling, you don't have the time to waste. But again, it's one of those things where like the Cable for me was what I was really anxious for. He was what I went to go see this movie for. Not so much Deadpool. I enjoy seeing Deadpool. But I wanted to see what Cable brought to it because he's the opposite of Deadpool.
Yeah.
Dead serious. He's all about getting the job done, and all this. And I'm
Is that a knife to my dick? Yeah, it's a knife to my dick.
And they Josh Brolin and Ryan Reynolds feeding off each other's energies the way their characters were portrayed were perfect because one's raw and gritty and the other one's I'm not taking anything seriously, and making jokes
wife.
Yeah. Extended eye contact and applying.
Wait, why'd you say that while looking deep into my eyes
Well,
while
you-
applying lip balm?
Yeah, I know, which is perfect for Ryan.
He uncrosses his legs.
It's his basic
I can never
instinct.
unsee that.
So
This is basic instinct.
for me, I think, and it's not to say it's a huge issue, but Cable was definitely a requirement for this movie to show where the story was going, and I didn't get enough of him. And only maybe enough to say I knew why he was there, and that we're going to see more of him later. But I guess you could say it was an excuse to get him to come into this timeline with Deadpool and everyone else in the modern day time. And then now you have an excuse to bring him into the next movies because he just didn't try time travel back to his time. And now he's gone.
It's probably going to be X-Force is probably going to be the next movie.
Yeah, that's exactly what I assumed.
Even though all of X-Force died except for Domino this time. That was great.
What?
Can we, before you continue,
Yeah.
can we mention the one thing that they made canon, though?
Which was?
Mojoverse.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
There was a lot of canon cool stuff,
Yes.
like Charles Xavier.
This is
Juggernaut Brothers.
This is why I really enjoy this movie. Like I said, it doesn't hold your hand. It's like, wait, what's Mojoverse? Who's Shadowstar? No, fuck that shit. The story's gonna keep fucking going. If you don't know, you look it up.
That's what I did. I had to look up Shatterstar and all of them, and I realized, wow, these guys are kind of relevant, But
Your buddy Cable, did you recognize the name of his daughter?
I did.
Hope?
Yep.
Hope Summers?
Which actually isn't really his daughter. That's actually Cyclops' daughter.
Well, it's okay that the way they're doing it. I'm just happy that they're doing that.
they're paying nod.
They
to,
are, but then they also kind of fucked up the timeline by having it take place so far in the future because it doesn't make any sense that it would be
and
Cyclops'
oh shit,
daughter.
Apocalypse is dead, and he's the one that gave him the technogenic virus.
Let's not get into just
okay,
that yet.
no, keep going, Boo.
You're gonna take everything away from
I'm not
me.
gonna take the piss out of it.
I'm gonna add one last thing to that comment.
Yes.
It's the timeline's already fucking convoluted as it is. Where
I agree.
Deadpool's like, why the fuck is there never a Class A X-Men in this building? And then you got
And you see
Beast
Beast
and
and
the first
Beast
class
is
X-Men.
sliding the
Yeah.
door,
So-
and it's Xavier, Cyclops, Beast, and Quicksilver.
Specific, and having said that, specifically the young versions of the X-Men. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, wait a minute,
McAvoy,
how is it that we're seeing the young X-Men in the next room, which apparently I think was set in the early '80s, when going back to First Class and Days of Future Past. Anyway, that makes no sense. But again,
Don't think about it too much.
that's what I mean. It's exactly what you said, Jay. It's like going into this movie, you can't take it seriously because it's already fucked up. But I think that's what they did. It's like they were trolling the viewers, saying, "Ha ha! We know you guys are paying attention, but pay attention to this. Try and
Yeah.
figure this shit out."
When is
You
this
know
happening?
what, Boo? I feel like Deadpool was sent here from a higher power to fix all that's wrong with the X-Men franchise. Well, because look what they did. They put grown-up Colossus with the young X-Men, and it was always young Colossus with the old X-Men.
Oh,
I
good
don't know.
point. Good point.
There's a issue there.
He was always-
Juggernaut wasn't the brother of Xavier. They fixed that.
They fixed
I'm
that.
sure
Like, they're fixing all kinds of cool shit.
Teenage Warhead comes way later than the original X-Men. Isn't she
I'm
like...
okay with that. Yeah, she's part of the newer X-Men.
Yeah.
But you know what? He is fixing so much, and now that he's got the Time Watch, he already
That's
fixed.
dangerous.
He already
I know.
fixed the Deadpool from X-Men Origins.
And he
It's like,
fixed-
Oh, that was
wiped the slate
awesome.
And he
from it,
fixed
yeah.
Green Lantern because he did that. I don't even remember what Green Lantern's about anymore.
Green Lantern? Question mark?
Oh, Ryan Reynolds was in that? I don't remember that.
And I have to
Anyways.
admit, I love the fact that he went as far as to saying, "You're welcome, Canada." thank you, Ryan. I love the fact that you're such a proud Canadian.
Oh yeah.
And there was like Canadian flags all over his apartment. Every time you just
Oh, I
saw
didn't know that.
on the background, there was always a maple leaf.
No, I didn't notice that. No, there's something I'm going to look forward to seeing. Now, all that said, my favorite part, I think you beat me to the punch. It's a combination of the scene where Deadpool, after he had been ripped in half, is now left with having to regrow his legs.
Baby legs.
And we knew it was coming. We've seen it where he lost his hand and he had regrown that baby hand.
Yeah.
So having seen that, I'm thinking, oh crap, they're not going to do what I think they're going to do. And that's
Oh,
exactly what they
yeah.
did. And then he went as far as to allowing his character to, I guess, let it breathe, I guess is the way to put
Well,
it.
he
Like,
did Basic Instinct where he flipped his legs around in such a way that
Crossing his
showed
legs.
his little package
Yeah.
down there.
And then he went even further by going up to Cable by standing on his new little legs, and I just couldn't stop but laugh the entire
It was
time.
so slow and drawn out.
Oh
too.
my
The,
God.
the whole theater was just
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
laughing.
Oh, yeah.
in the
Like,
way.
I had a theater full of old people, and they didn't get the jokes for about the first 30 minutes. They started, after about 30 minutes, they started, a little hee-hee, but once we got the baby legs, everyone was roaring.
Oh, yeah.
And it was topped off with then Cable, finishing the cherry on the top, as I always say. It was the comment of, now I have it seared into my brain, the look of, grown men
balls.
with,
Baby
like
balls.
that was perfect. I was like, oh, okay. Then that's maybe that relationship between Cable and Deadpool that I was hoping for more of.
Yeah.
It was too subtle. I needed more of that. But
That's okay, you did it for me.
Yeah.
but I don't know that you did it for
Heads
me.
or tails. Oh, the death scene at the end, yeah, where he's like, oh, okay, I just got one more thing to say. But you know what I honestly thought was going to happen? I straight up thought that he was going to be like, okay, I'm ready to go. And then the battery on the collar was going to die. And he'd be like, oh, fuck.
I was half expecting the collar to be like a facade, like it wasn't
wasn't
real.
working the
He
whole
just
time.
did that to
Yeah.
make the kid think he was in danger.
Yeah.
But anyways,
That would have been funny too.
Go on.
But yeah, I think I'm torn between that scene with his new baby legs and the fact that we lost the entire X-Force in a fucking single goddamn swoop.
oh my
I'm
god.
looking at the scene. I'm
That
thinking,
was great!
like right up to the build-up of like, oh fuck, that
Oh
was
my
bad.
god!
Talk about trailer bait.
Yeah,
I know.
you know
Because
what?
the trailer,
This is
everybody
the time.
slapped somebody.
This is a time when a movie has trolled me and I enjoyed it because the turnout was just I didn't expect that, and by God, that's funny.
Well, you see the one guy, like you see Terry Crews hit the bus,
Yeah.
and then they start showing the rest of the one guy goes like right into the fucking wood chipper, like,
Yeah.
And he's not
you're
all the
like,
way
oh my
in.
god, they're all gonna die. Like,
And then he vomits the acid
onto
which
Peter's
kills
arm.
Peter.
The Vanisher was an instant, shock.
And then
to
he
the-
showed that 1 second of Brad Pitt where he's the Vanisher caught in the cables.
And then they brought the Vanisher back. He's like, actually, I think the Vanisher's okay. And they see him on fire, hit the ground.
no,
Oh,
he's dead too.
gets on a
Everyone
scooter,
but
rides
Domino.
around his
Yeah.
body.
Because she's lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah, how is Luck a superpower? He's going on about how Luck's not
It's
a
not
superpower.
very cinematic looking!
Car's rolling over.
While she's like making her way into the convoy and she
Yeah.
actually gets in there, he's telling her about how Luck's not a superpower, and you
he's
see
like,
all this shit
I'm
happen.
in. Wait, what? You're already in?
You're already in?
And even on top of it, she ends up, casually letting herself fall into an inflatable whatever
Panda,
panda.
yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm gonna live. I know. I don't have to think about it. Like, oh,
What's
okay,
your
thanks.
superpower? I'm lucky.
Makes me wonder, how the hell do you write with a character like that and then find a way to put her in turmoil and make her make someone a threat enough to be able to
That's why
go
she's a
against those
supporting
powers.
character.
Well, exactly, but that's the thing.
Sounds like a character that'd be created by a man who draws really small feet. that was a jab at Rob Liefeld. That was in there. He said that.
God,
There was-
and I'm gonna leave it.
I
at
was
that
the
'cause I think-
only one who caught that joke in the theater. The Rob Liefeld
I
joke
caught
about
it.
I
How
knew
he
you
can't
would
draw
have.
feet. Sounds like a guy who can't draw feet.
Yeah.
All the pedophile jokes near the end too.
Oh,
Where
yeah,
the
there's
fucking
so
with
many.
the doctors and
Yeah.
at the hospital and everything. Fuck, they just pedophile. They just kept hammering.
Or how he kept
everything.
accusing Cable of being racist. That was
Yeah,
funny.
yeah.
You shot Black Tom.
He was like a brother to me.
Yeah, Black Tom Cassidy's in it. That was
And he died.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
is he a main character?
Yeah,
too?
he is.
He actually
He's a
Kinda.
villain. He worked with Juggernaut.
okay. says his name
His
too. Like,
brother
he announces his
is married to Moira McTaggart.
Yeah.
Banshee.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know if they'll bring. Boy, Banshee was.
Banshee was in first class.
and they killed him off.
Yeah, he's done.
off screen.
Don't worry about it.
For Days of Future
Oh
Past.
yes.
Yeah, well, that's a fucked up X-Men continuity.
That's
And
X-Men.
once again, that's why Deadpool's awesome. So are you done with your...
I was sorry. I didn't want to add too much because then I wouldn't have left.
So what was your best? What was your worst?
Well, again, my worst was not enough Cable,
Yeah.
and my favorite
All
was
right.
torn between baby legs and the complete wipeout of all the X-Force members. Like that's a hard one to pick.
I'm
between.
baby legs. Look at me go.
Not enough cable.
Okay, so I'm hoping I left you enough to be able
You
to
hear
pick
that?
from.
Not enough cable. I didn't get enough cable, he says. All right, so my favorite. I'm actually gonna start with my. My favorite is just all the jabs.
Yeah.
At all of the Avengers, at DC, at X-Men themselves, even jabs at himself, just and all the other movie references too. Like, I mean, you have to not like. I mean, even if you're not a comic fan, to not get those references, you should at least get the other movie references that are in here because there's lots of them.
Especially the Thanos reference. It was, I think, a brief moment where he even used
calls
the
him
term
Thanos.
He calls him Thanos.
Shut your mouth, Thanos.
And the part where he has no powers, he's like, you may as well just give me a bow and arrow and call me Hawkeye.
Yeah, because he's got no powers. Yeah, the fucking say anything reference where he's got the iPod with the stereo.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was really good.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I forgot about that one.
And obviously Flashdance and Basic Instincts. And,
Oh yeah, the Bond scene at the beginning.
yeah,
That
there was a
pretty cool.
Bond intro. Yeah, there was just so much good stuff.
They
So
play the Ashes song from Celine Dion, but they did
Yeah.
like Deadpool cinematic.
yeah, they did it like a
Yeah.
Bond
The way they
intro.
did it.
Yeah.
Bond
Right.
intro.
Yeah, that was
Right.
neat actually.
I really like that. So yeah, just all those references, it's so good. But my absolute favorite is the ending where he gets it, he turns it back, and he shoots the old Deadpool in the head. I was literally jumping out of my seat. I was like, yes! Yes! I was like, fuck yes! Someone gave me a look. I was like, I don't care. This is a Deadpool movie. If you are offended by the word fuck, I don't know why you're here. So it's just like, yes! I was so happy for that. That was my absolute favorite part.
Is that part of the movie though?
Yeah, it is.
I guess we are
It is.
taking
Oh my
after
god,
credit scenes as
everything
official,
having
right?
to do with that particular Wolverine movie can just go fuck itself.
Except
No,
for
I
that
agree.
part.
Well, no, I
Except
mean,
the
like,
part where Deadpool fixes it in
with
Deadpool
that,
2.
yeah, with that Deadpool
But you're right.
and that Saber.
But take Wolverine Origins and set that on fire.
God.
That is
Liv Schreiber
god awful.
will never be Sabretooth.
X-Men movie. I didn't mind Schreiber as Sabretooth. It was just a bad movie.
Oh my god, when I played the game, I couldn't wait to get Schreiber into a corner so I could just fist fuck his face. I hated him as fucking Sabretooth.
I think you have deeper issues than you should. This isn't therapy.
Oh my, it was no. Beating him up in the game.
What did
was
Lee
cathartic.
Schreiber do to you, sir?
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's
Did he
what his
take your
Sabretooth
girlfriend?
did to me. Like,
Did Sabretooth take
With
your
the big
the
girlfriend?
lady
Sabretooth
hands.
in the first X-Men was so good, and then they're like, I'm Liv Schreiber. I'm now Sabretooth.
That was the
Rawr!
perfect. That was honestly the perfect Sabretooth, but we're
I like Liv
Yeah.
Schreiber better than the other.
I like the other one, the
You like the other
wrestler
one
guy.
better?
whoever that was.
Well, actually, I don't really care about either. But
Fuck it.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, fuck
I
it.
like
Fuck
him.
me.
They've never done a good Sabretooth in my
fuck it.
opinion.
Yeah. What's your least favorite?
My least favorite is, and I'm gonna actually touch a bit about what Da Boo said, and that they didn't build enough on Cable. And this is where it gets a bit nitpicky, and if I'm going to watch it again and there's a reason I bring it down to a 4 from a 4.5, this is going to be the one thing that sticks out to me, because we didn't really get much of a backstory with Cable, and not only that, it was very kind of vague as to what happened, and then they show oh, okay, apparently this kid grows up to be Fire Fist and kills his family. Well, if you read the comics, it's a much bigger thing that Cable comes back in time for. This seems like more of just a selfish need for himself, whereas in the comics he's trying to stop the Sentinels, he's trying to stop Apocalypse. It's some sort of twisted, fucked up X-Men future, that we saw in Days of Future Past with the Sentinels coming to attack them. They didn't touch upon any of that. They left the Sentinels out of that, they left all that out of that, and they kind of gave us this Fire Fist just comes and kills my family. So that whole connection between Fire Fist and Cable, I thought was they could have done something a little bit better there. Something a little more true to the comics. And like I said, it seems like in the comics he's trying to actually save all of mutant kind. This is he killed my family. This is just revenge. I'm going back in time for that. You know what I mean? So that's the part where I get a little bit disconnected. It just seemed like he had a much bigger quest, something that actually meant something a little bit more, and now it just seems like it's a personal vendetta. And that's my problem with that.
Cable was our T-1000.
He was.
There was even a part where I don't know why Deadpool called him John Connor.
Yeah,
I know
you
that
should have
was
called
weird.
him. Yeah, should
Yeah,
have
he
called him
called
Arnold
the
or
other way
something.
around. Yeah, it was weird.
should have been the
'cause
Terminator,
The
right?
kid,
Robert Patrick. That would have been the perfect.
Oh,
He
yeah,
should have
that
called
was
him
it.
Robert Patrick or Arnold or something.
Yeah, who remembers Robert Patrick?
But it doesn't.
That's the point, though. That would
Yeah,
be the perfect
that'd be
obscure
an
joke.
obscure-
He's only 5'11", much shorter than he is in the comics.
Yeah, that was funny. Well, he's abnormally huge in the comics.
Yeah, it's true,
Yeah,
but that's
he
Liefeld again. He draws everyone huge.
Yeah.
They're just little big
almost
muscular
venom-sized
man.
to the point where he's so wide-shouldered that everyone next to him is
But he's
always a
cybernetically
toothpick.
augmented, and he's a soldier of the future.
By the way, they didn't touch upon that either. Which is
Technology
how,
antivirus?
yes, they never talked about that either. He
Here's the
he
problem.
just like the Terminator, he looks at himself in the mirror, observing himself, just like in Terminator 1, but they never really get into that. And I know what you're going to say. They're going to say, how can you tell all this story? It's hard to fit all that in. I agree.
They can't
but
do it. They killed themselves with X-Men Apocalypse.
Not necessarily.
yes,
you
it
don't.
is.
You don't have to do Apocalypse though. You could do the Sentinels. You could do something else.
You know what would be a really good
you could
one?
do Sinister.
Sinister would be good.
Yeah, they've already
Because
introduced
By the way,
And-
the building was owned by
Essex Corp?
Yes.
Yeah, they've left that open just in case they could utilize it, I think. That's
Well, if you look
exactly
at the video
why.
game, what was the video game all about? It was trying to find the real Mr. Sinister because he
Oh
made so many
my
clones
God.
all over the place, and you
He
had to
was
find the real
such
one.
an asshole in that game. That last boss was such a bastard.
But the whole point is, I think,
But the game was good.
I feel like that's where
The movie's a
Cable,
great
Deadpool-
build up to the game.
Oh.
I think is what.
What are you?
Come
like,
on.
as a movie,
As a movie, Deadpool 2
Kingsglaive.
is a great prequel to
Kingsglaive.
Deadpool the video game.
You know what? I'm happy for, even though I know Cable's obscure, insane backstory, I'm happy that they kept it simple clean, and short.
I'm okay if they show us more Cable and they actually touch upon
Me
that
too.
more.
Cable's a
But
great-
if they don't ever do it, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
He's a Swiss Army knife of powers. Like, he has basically every power known to man. He can regenerate. He can do telekinesis.
That's what I mean. Like he's
And he's also the son of
interesting
Cyclops.
character. But it's not just how deep his character is standing on its own. He is one of the few characters that has a direct link to Wade Wilson. And in a movie where they're trying to
And
introduce
Scott
new people,
Summers.
Yeah, Cyclops.
having a character as deep as him playing opposite of Deadpool is it's a great thing to have. And I don't want them to just throw him away. I don't want them to
I don't
simplify
think they
his
are.
relationship with Deadpool.
Deadpool?
Good name.
Deadpool at all. But
Almost was
at the same
Deadpool a couple
time,
times.
if Vanessa's alive, the movie version of Vanessa, I don't see her leaving Wade and ending up with Cable. You know what I mean? Even
No,
if
I don't
they
think
bring
so.
her back.
I don't even
see
think she's
that.
gonna be a mutant ever.
No.
I think she's just gonna
Well,
be the
maybe.
love interest.
Who
Cable's
knows?
sticking around, though.
And that's
Yeah.
what I mean. That's the
But he
thing.
does
They're
have
gonna
the
do
teddy bear of his
They're
daughter.
gonna do X-Force or Deadpool 3, and Cable will play a heavy part in that. Whichever one they decide to do.
We all know that the second you start doing the whole time travel thing, there's so many great possibilities that they'll have.
Maybe
it
only
And
the
bad
daughter
ones.
came back. Maybe the wife is dead, but the daughter's alive. So
Yeah,
now
just
he's on the
because-
hunt for some trim.
Well, because in his reality. In his reality, the kid kills his whole family, right?
Yeah.
So now he goes back to stop that from happening, but he's changed the past. So yeah, maybe
And
his
a
house
very,
didn't burn down because the teddy bear's
Butterfly
not scarred.
effect.
A very
Exactly.
Back to the Future like
But,
moment. It's like,
like-
hey, your teddy bear is better now.
Exactly. But all that means is that the house wasn't burned down. That doesn't mean that
Something else didn't happen.
something else didn't happen, right? Like the kid might be
And
dead.
as
the
we-
wife
It's
might
going to be
dead.
time
As we
traveling
know.
adventures.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
going to be time hopping in the X-Men universe for the
Which
next
is
movie.
fine.
I love that idea.
I don't mind that. They fucked the continuity anyway, so it doesn't matter anymore.
They're going to fix it.
I like the fact that Cable called Deadpool a cunt. Actually, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
I'm curious to
talking
see
about
if
continuity.
because as a
Continuity?
You're talking about continuity. I'm like, yeah, he used
Yeah, continuity. You're right.
R-rated review.
we've seen how Deadpool's been poking at all the other Marvel movies, even their competitors like DC and all this. I want to see them go a step further, and knowing now that Infinity War and Deadpool both have like this time travel option because there's the Time Stone and the Infinity Gauntlet. What's to say that he just doesn't poke at the Infinity Stone moment where he goes back in time and he's in the wrong timeline or no?
He's
different-
in Thanos, and then Thanos, like, he's with Thanos, and Thanos
He's
says
like-
something. He's like, Cable?
You look
You know what I mean? Like,
familiar. Yeah, like
That's
it would-
another
it'd be
comic
funny.
book series they could touch on. Cable and Thanos it happened.
Oh, really? Okay, so that's the thing, and that's partly what I want to see happen because
But we need Lady Death.
that's
the
what I
whole
also
reason
want
why
to see.
Thanos didn't like Deadpool.
Because they
'Cause
both
Death
love
like-
death.
Yeah,
But Death like Deadpool. So he used,
Yes.
he used the gauntlet to give him
It's true.
immortality
So he
that
could
he
never
couldn't
die.
Death
die.
actually likes Deadpool more than
Yeah.
There's a weird triangle between Thanos, Death, and
Very
Deadpool.
weird.
He
I don't
just gets
understand how
everywhere, eh?
how is it that
He
Thanos
does.
actually imbues him with imbues him? It's more like a
Tabarnak, Steve.
the fact that he just gives him the fact that he can't actually die. Well, wasn't he already doing that anyhow? His regenerative powers were already making him immortal. What made him even more immortal?
Listen to what Cable said. He's like, so are we pals in the future 50 years from now or whatever he said? He's like, no, you're dead. All the mutant kind is dead.
Your generation fucked the world into a coma.
Yeah.
That
Deadpool's
doesn't
dead
that
in
doesn't
the
tell me a
future.
lot. Aside from that, yeah, Deadpool's dead. But
He
He
I mean,
can die.
how does he die?
Put a
You
cord
know
around
how
his
he can
neck.
die. You
We
take away
watched
his
him
powers.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah,
can't
it wasn't
regenerate,
definitive.
then
He died. In this movie.
and even Wolverine's regenerative powers eventually ran out in Logan.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess. Well, in his case, it had more to do with the adamantium
Adamantium
poisoning his system,
So-
so it was working against his
I
regenerative
do
powers.
understand why you
So-
would think that. I mean, because you can cut off Deadpool's head and he's still okay. But
Blew himself up for fuck's
Exactly.
sakes, and he came back.
There is a limit. Like, there is a limit, and there's a carbonadium. Okay, now we're getting into comic book.
now
stuff.
it's comic
There-
book.
There is a metal. There is a
Nerd!
metal. There's a metal that exists in the Marvel Universe that stops all healing and regeneration powers.
Oh.
And Wolverine actually had this.
It's
sword
called
for a while.
vibranium. You're welcome from
Maybe.
Wakanda.
Yeah, because
There-
they
Because
haven't introduced-
vibranium does
They
everything.
didn't introduce carbonadium yet, so
There is one thing actually
Just kidding,
that I
it's not
thought
vibrating.
about. Wasn't it that in the bullet that the X-23 used to shoot?
Adamantium.
No, that was still
Oh, it's just
adamantium.
adamantium.
It was an
Oh, yeah.
adamantium bullet.
and it didn't kill him.
One thing though, when they're in the prison, when Deadpool and the kid go to prison and they discover that Juggernaut is there, So they're all wearing the collars that suppress their mutant powers.
Oh yeah.
Juggernaut's not a mutant though.
No,
he
he's
got his
not.
power from
That is
that
true.
fucking
Ruby
stone.
Sidorak.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And they are establishing that he is the Juggernaut from the fucking comic books by relating him to Charles Xavier.
Right, but I'm pretty sure he's still a mutant in this.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. They're establishing him as non-mutant by making him the Juggernaut from the comic books.
Not necessarily.
But then they're
like,
making him wear a collar to suppress mutant
Right.
powers.
He's
Like,
a
Did he have
mutant
a
in the
collar
series.
though? I don't remember seeing a collar, and I was
just
trying to
gonna say,
figure
I don't
that out.
he must have had one, though.
I
The
felt
jail
like
was
he had
for
one.
mutants.
I know
It was,
the jail was
specifically for
mutants.
mutants, and that's what sent up the red flag. Because as soon as they said biggest guy in the joint, and I heard him hit the wall, I was like, it's fucking Juggernaut.
Yeah, that's what I thought
the
too.
only person I could think of that's big
That's
enough.
bigger than Colossus? Yeah,
Yeah.
Juggernaut.
So I was like, Juggernaut right away, and then my mind started doing comic book boy fucking geek shit. Like, wait a minute, he's not a mutant. Well, he's got a collar. Wait,
Yeah,
what?
I kind of just, you know what? In X-Men 3, they made him a mutant, so I just got used to that idea. I'm like, whatever. It's not
They
like the
just
X-Men
never-
continuity
They would have to
follows the
introduce-
comics.
Yeah, they'd have to introduce a lot of shit.
They would have to tell his entire backstory as opposed to just letting you assume that he's a mutant.
If you get into the whole demon Sidorak bullshit that happens, and which is actually cool when Colossus gets the ruby, turns into unstoppable Colossus.
No,
That's a
yeah,
cool story.
I've seen that.
They could do something like that, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember if he had a collar or not.
Neither do I.
In
I
my
thought he
brain,
did.
I pictured them just keeping him stationary because as long as he's not moving,
He's not a threat.
he's not a threat.
Yeah.
But that's how I looked at it. I don't know.
I mean, I always was with the understanding, again, coming from someone who doesn't read the comics, I thought it was his helmet that gave him the ability to be able to...
That just
I-
kept
no, that
telepath.
keeps-
I know,
yeah,
I know.
That keeps
But
Xavier
he
from being able
mentioned
to
that
track-
in it too.
track
He
He
did.
yeah.
also added some cool.
That was the same
Yeah.
time when he acknowledges that he had a brother, you know, like of that
He's
same...
in a
Xavier was
wheelchair, so we're even.
Yeah.
Yes. yes.
Speaking of wheelchairs, I have to admit it was funny to see Deadpool running around
In a
the-
Oh yeah,
Knocking everything
Taking
over?
out all the statues. Yeah, he's broken after it hit the ground. That was funny.
There's
There
a lot
were
of
so
so
many
many old
funny
white
things.
guys in here. I'm gonna get my rape whistle.
There were so many goddamn funny jokes in that movie.
A lot of rape jokes. Like I didn't know how many rape jokes there could be. Like when
What
the
the fuck did he say?
when
about
the
one
headmaster
guy?
was running away and he's like, "Oh my god, he's like an online predator looking for his laptop."
Oh my god!
Yeah.
I think
the whole theater died. We're all dying.
and then Cable went as far as to say he even runs like a fucking...
Even the guard too that Deadpool ends up fucking killing there. What did he say? Something about his mouth.
lips?
Your soft. Your
Oh, yeah,
soft
yeah.
rape mouth or something.
Yeah, rape
I thought that
lips
was
or
for the kid, though.
No. That
That happened
he's,
later on. He's like,
he's telling the
wait,
kid
"You're
he's
gonna
like,
win the award for the
for
softest
softest
mouth."
Yeah, yeah.
But
Let me take it a few minutes.
but
I
later
took it
on
like-
he says something directly about that guard that they kill.
Yeah, I do remember something about. I just don't remember.
Had something to do with his mouth.
Or before
Yeah.
that, it was before that when they first get to the school.
Guy looked like Steve Buscemi a little bit. He was.
Yeah, can you? Yeah, I was thinking.
I
about
thought he was
Steve
gonna
Buscemi
crack
the
a Steve
whole time.
Buscemi joke for sure.
Yeah.
he didn't say it.
And did you guys notice the It Clown, Skarsgård, was the acid spitter?
Oh, he was.
Oh,
I
that
knew he
was
was in
him.
it.
Oh,
I didn't
hey,
know who it
that
was.
him?
Was wondering if that
Zeitgeist.
was him.
Yes, Zeitgeist. So,
Zeitgeist.
what's your power? You like have the ability to put like your thumb
Finger on the pulse of society.
society. No, I spit acid breath.
I spit acid from my mouth. All right.
Yeah, we're
Final
going off track
thoughts.
here.
Final thoughts all around.
This
I think
movie
we're
is
good.
incredibly fun, and you should go and watch it in theaters, and probably watch it more than once. If you
Yeah.
like the first one, this is like right up your alley.
It's definitely, you gotta see it when it's on DVD. I know there's gonna be so many deleted scenes from this movie. Like,
yeah.
I feel like the trailer bait was also probably a part of the movie that actually happened, and they're like, you know what, let's cut that out. 20 minutes.
There's one part too. There's no like post credit scene.
No.
But if you listen to the music, they're singing
Juggernaut song?
Juggernaut,
Yeah.
big as shit, and he's just
That music's playing while they're fighting Juggernaut.
Yeah, but
holy shit! Holy shit!
But then they play it at the very end of the movie when
Yeah,
the
yeah,
credits
yeah,
are
yeah.
fucking playing, and it's just awesome.
It's Juggernaut! Holy shit!
I'm looking
holy
forward.
Shit balls.
I'm looking forward to what happens in the next Deadpool movie for sure. Like
Yeah.
when he got that time thing at first, I didn't really know what was happening. I thought he was going to give it to Cable, but then he was fixing time. I realized it's even
That
better.
was the best part
This
of
is
the
such
movie.
a good idea. Yeah.
the chick.
Well, even
Negasonic
Negasonic
Teenage
Teenage Boy, she even goes as far as to say, "Oh God, what did we
did
do?"
we-
What did
Yeah, what have I
I
done?
hope I did.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Very
now.
excited. I'm very. If they keep making them like this, I'm gonna love them.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think they can screw this up. So I will admit, you
Well, I
guys
think they
have-
can.
Oh, don't say that.
I think they can.
You just jinxed
You
it.
said it. You said it.
You
guys
heard
are
it
so
here
negative.
first, guys. You guys are so negative.
Sorry, Fox.
You heard it here first.
Yeah,
You heard
have
it
a good run.
here.
Hold on.
says.
Hold on. I will go as far as to say I have faith in Ryan. Ryan alone will carry this series.
He will.
Because he
Oh.
makes a perfect Deadpool. I don't care who they cast next to him. Unless they have such shitty writers and their budgets get thrown out the window.
Did you see
That's
the
the only thing that would
voices?
ruin this.
Did you see Ryan Reynolds in The Voices?
Bad movie.
No.
It's...
I'm not saying all his
The
other movies
proposal.
redeem his capabilities as an actor. I'm saying he's the perfect Deadpool. He's the Wade Wilson that I think every one of us would have expected.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not that he's invincible to bad movies. Green Lantern, Captured.
Yeah.
The voices.
Well, exactly. I'm not
But
saying his other
him
work.
as Deadpool.
He's an
seems
excellent-
invincible.
This is him. He's
Right.
an executive producer. If you look at the credits, he's an executive producer. He
Which
got
is
rid of
awesome.
the director because the director
Yes,
wanted to make
which
a
is
more
awesome.
clean-cut action, like big box office, balls to the wall movie. He's like, no, we got to keep it down, indie, grungy, like the first
Yes.
one. What people liked.
And I
feel like
think we got more of the same. It was great.
I feel like
So
Deadpool.
yeah, as long
they're-
as Ryan is involved,
And if he's gonna be next to Brolin, he's gonna be next to Zazie Beetz as Domino. I think we're gonna be just fine.
and if you watch all the back and forth with Brolin, like the marketing with the two of them, like insulting each other, like they like this shit. They're both.
The
funny.
funny thing is,
Josh
Josh
Brolin's
Brolin-
funny, but he's the
is
straight-faced
funny.
guy.
Josh Brolin wasn't even a comic fan before he did Infinity War and Deadpool 2, and he's like turned into not like a big fan, but he's turned into a fan of these comic movies because he's playing these characters.
Oh yeah.
It's gotta be fun.
Oh,
Like, it's
100%.
gotta fucking be fun to, like...
Well, the first one he's wearing like a motion capture suit. Like that's got to be weird. Like that. Add that to your resume now, because not a lot of
Well,
people have
Ruffalo's
that.
the one that got him the job as Thanos.
Yeah. Well,
The other man, the other guy wears the fan canceling suit.
He's got the giant antenna sticking out of his head with a tennis
So
ball.
they can be talking
so
to the head
people
up
know where Incredible Hulk's head is. That is weird. So kudos on both sides of that.
Especially when you're talking to somebody and they're looking above you having the conversation with you.
Yes.
That's odd.
Actually, it was even said in an interview with Josh that he was asked, actually, sorry, the other way around. He had asked someone who had asked him to come into this picture, should I take this job?
That was
Yeah,
Ruffalo.
And you would be dumb not to take it. But that, and I think Mark was also the one where he had asked, is this worth it? And then several shoots later, I guess Mark must have turned to him and says, I'm so done with this. So apparently the whole motion capture thing can be quite tedious.
Oh yeah. For
So
sure.
I commend him for doing that, right? Taking the role of Thanos, going, head first into it all the way through, and at the same time taking all the hits with going through the whole motion.
I
of
will say this, he was
creating
much-
that character CG wise.
Yeah, sorry. I will say this: he's much better as Thanos than he is as Cable, though.
That's a good question, though. I don't know. I feel like I enjoy
Which
him
one
more
do you
as
like
Cable.
more,
like
Cable
both.
or Thanos?
I-
I like them both, and
Yeah,
for
same
different
here.
reasons.
They're different. I just feel like Cable I got more invested in because it was maybe less CG. I mean, is that why? Does that make any sense? Like,
No,
I
that
like
makes sense because
CG heavy characters. I'm having a hard time taking.
I actually found
seriously
there
now.
was more emotion though out of the Thanos character than there was
Yeah.
Cable.
Well, yes, actually,
It's
I
a
will
different movie, though. We have a
it
Thanos
is.
story versus this is
You have
Deadpool
a
dealing
story-
with an immovable force, which is capable.
You
Capable.
are...
Capable of what? Miles?
You are,
Capable.
the thing is that with Cable's story, you're dropped into it in the aftermath, and you only see the fallout of the trauma that he's gone through, right? So you just know that shit happened to his family, and now he's coming to deal with it. But when it comes to Thanos, you're seeing his whole story. You're seeing him dealing with his family. You're seeing him deal with Gamora and Nebula. You're seeing him ascend the steps of power. You know what I mean? So he's a more fully realized character in Infinity War. But in Deadpool, he is right down in the muck with Deadpool. He plays real as Thanos. He's an awesome standalone character, but as Cable, he's really good bouncing off of Deadpool and even some of the other characters too.
And I like the fights that they had with each other. Like at
Yeah.
one point,
I like-
Deadpool had his arm broken.
Oh, and he
But he
used
used
it.
it.
Yeah, he used it to
choke
choke him
Cable.
out. Yeah, which was
Oh
really
my God.
gross.
He had
but
the gun
awesome.
on him, and he's gonna shoot Cable. He's like, "Who the fuck are you?" And you should know that I have a long history of pulling the trigger at times like this. And Cable's just looking at him, and I can't remember what he says, but then he uses his magnetism to suck the gun back to him.
Not magnetism.
Well, whatever his
Telepathy.
telekinesis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what that was?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just about done here. Final thoughts. Let's get them around.
I thought those were final.
Oh,
Second final thought.
second final thoughts. Go see it again.
Yeah.
All right, so you can follow the conversation on Twitter at We Promise Nothing. Drop the G, give us a big old like on Facebook because we like when you do that. Check us out on Eastlink. We are late night ticket, get it on demand. And if we're not in your area and you got Eastlink, then definitely request us. And also subscribe, share, like this video on YouTube. And if you disagree with anything we said about this, we're just gonna snap our fingers again. No, just kidding. You can leave a comment below. But as always, we promise nothing. Good night. No rest without you. Na, 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 na.
The words that escape me.
We love our fans. They are the best.
Whoa, that's an 11. Tone it down.
Hello, Papa.
Hey,
you know
this
what?
only goes to an 11, so beat it, Spider-Man.
There was an 11 on his gun.
Yeah, there
You guys
was
see
too. And it was awesome when he
I love
fucking
this
turns the
gun.
knob up.
Yeah.
It's
I love
like
that
a fucking
sound.
electric guitar slide there.
Yes, the sound effects are on point.
Yeah.
Very cool. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.